This is our group discussion. I know you're in it. It's just like...
I'll go back here.
Yeah.
We're good.
So this is our group discussion for Anansi... I want to say
Anansi?
Anasazi, but it's... I don't think that's Anasazi.
It says A-N-A-N-S-I? Anansi?
Yeah.
And Nancy? I
don't know. I'm from Arizona, so I want to say Anasazi really bad because there's the Anasazi program. And then it was written by Neil Gaiman, or Gaiman? I don't know. Interesting book.
Yeah, very, very interesting.
Kind of hard to read.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why this one was so difficult compared to the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I just have a specific style that I like. But I want to make sure the volume's up for a second.
Yeah. Yeah. The first question, how about how he's like incorporated traditional legend into the book, you know?
Why did Gaiman choose to incorporate a traditional legend into his novel?
Well, honestly, I have a hard time answering this question because I'm just like, well,
it's kind
his
of
entire book.
Yeah.
Is, like, I feel like you couldn't have not incorporated it, otherwise it wouldn't be the book. Hey, wow, making a video, you're in it.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
It's okay. You're fine. No, you're totally fine. We joke around all the time. We're good.
Yeah.
No, it's like not even a big deal.
We have a lot of pauses.
Did I just mess you?
No, you're totally fine. Okay. See ya.
You know what I just thought of though? So that's like folklore, right? It's like these tales or these stories that are like relevant or be like used today.
Yeah.
So I think maybe he chose to incorporate this legend to better incorporate folklore. Is that what it's called? Folklore.
Yeah.
Into his books, This isn't his first book. This is like a series of books.
Yeah, I read that.
So I don't know what the series really like entails, but
yeah.
Actually,
I didn't really get a lot of detail on that.
I heard, because I researched it a little bit, I heard that the first book talks about Mr. Nancy before he dies, and then this is the book about his sons finding out about his death, and
so could we possibly be missing some of the story?
Possibly.
Potentially.
Like the pre-story.
Got it.
My brain isn't working.
I don't know.
I'll give fair warning. I've been writing a 10-page research paper, so my brain is focusing on sports and religion at the moment. Sorry, I know that's not an excuse.
We're gonna do our very best.
Yes.
To complete this assignment.
Plus, yeah, I finished this book a couple days ago, so my brain isn't necessarily. I gotta like dig deep.
Yeah.
So how did Gaiman adapt the story to meet the purposes of his novel? I'm trying to remember the pre-assignment.
What does this mean? How did Gaiman adapt the story to meet? I can't think right now. Adapt the story to meet.
Remember the pre-assignment? We read do I have Canvas up? We can pull Canvas up.
Yeah.
It's the pre-assignment. Before you were supposed to read the book, you had to read the pre-assignment.
Yeah.
And it talks about like the actual. It's a different version of Canvas.
Oh yeah. What day was it? Last week.
How did Gaiman adapt the story to meet the purposes of his novel? What's the original story? I've been focusing so
Anansi
much
Boys
on the
pre-reading.
book. Yeah. Oh, I didn't watch the video. Maybe I did. Oh, I can't remember. My brain sometimes. I'm gonna open that. Okay. So So even in that first part, and that's, I kind of remember thinking it was funny because they don't talk about, they say they call Mr. Nancy or Anansi or Anansi, whatever, the trickster god, but they don't necessarily mention that he takes form of a spider. In the book.
Huh.
So that's spider. Spider takes form of the spider, but I don't remember them mentioning Mr. Nancy taking or being able to do that.
I don't recall.
I know that he loved to sing.
Yeah, don't they have a song or something?
Yeah, he
like something with that.
He died singing karaoke.
Yeah.
Kind of funny. I would say that he had to adapt the story or the legend. One, to kind of bring in the two boys, because I don't think that that's necessarily something that the legend talks about is his two sons, but kind of giving both. They took them like the main focus of this legend or folk tale, folklore, and split it into two characters to kind of give two different views, two different perspectives. Again, two different characters, storylines. But at the same time, it almost being one person.
So was that Gaiman's version? Was creating two characters,
I think
and
so.
That's how he was incorporating it into his story. Was making another character almost.
Yeah,
I did read that.
I don't know. I remember them talking about involving him consisting of his big. Yeah, I mean his pot-bellied son. So, I mean, they kind of talk about kids, but this is specifically talking about, I don't know, I mean, they give names like Charlie and Spider and how giving a backstory of how one became into two, the ability of one, the ability of the other, one became a god, one just was, a human. All of these little stories don't necessarily talk about how, his sons and, more than just mentioning him in Wikipedia. They don't give us the story, so I feel like he was able to take something that was, legend, but also modify it and apply it to create his story of his sons or his boys. Because, otherwise we don't really have much information on two of them.
So the rest of the characters besides the boys are from the legend.
Well, I think
Tiger and
Bird and stuff. Yeah. I believe so.
And Spider? Was he actually a spider?
I think it could
Did
change
he,
into
form?
one.
That, because I was reading it and I was I'm pretty sure that's what I'm trying to understand right now, is that I think he could morph into a spider. I don't know. Otherwise, I want to have.
I'm trying to remember. I have the book on Kindle.
I have the book right here.
But I don't.
You can type in keywords if you want.
I typed in spider. It would just give me
everything.
Spider, yeah. Because I'm trying to remember specifically in the book if I remember them kind of explaining if he could morph into a spider, but I thought it was more of he has ability with spiders, he can talk and they're his comrade.
And when he is needing help at the end of the book, and he
summons
calls all of them.
Yeah, summons his reinforcements.
Yeah, that's how they said it. Reinforcements. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Sorry, bugs. Yeah. Oh, next question. Gosh, dang it. There's so many books. No, so many. The library is jam-packed with people. In what ways does Gaiman make Anasazi stories relevant for contemporary readers? So I kind of liked in his book that though it was still mythological oriented or legend oriented, there was still normal everyday things where Charlie still went to work. His boss was a jerk. Embezzlement. You know what I mean? Like there was still interesting enough. Like when they go out and get drunk or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying that's something positive. I'm just saying like it gave real life, modern day experiences to something that would seem so abstract and like kind of hard to process. So that was actually interesting, and making it easier to read and understand is when it kept it that like that. Once it got into mythological, I'm just not a mythological person.
Yeah, with all the like fake things, all the monsters and the I don't really love that stuff either, just because it makes it harder for me to understand sometimes, like such as this book was kind of hard. But I also noticed another thing, like how the fact that family was kind of like having a hard time, and I was like, well, that relates to life, you know?
Yeah, no,
like,
for sure.
Brothers fighting, not liking each other, brothers taking his girlfriend and like
sleeping with his fiance
with her, and
that's normal.
And like, you know, some of that stuff happens in real life, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's one of the ways I like kind of saw that, how he related it. I
really like to, just a side note, I don't think it's a question. I really liked how, like, maybe it is a question. I'm reading it. Which literary elements did you find significant in this novel? What effect did these literary elements have on the novel? So, so I feel like the character development of Charlie, I will not call him Fat Charlie, Charlie was like a interesting, or not interesting, but positive, and like through trials and stuff became a better person. That's where I think like the message for me, I don't know what your message is, but for mine, I just looked at it as like, this is the author's trying to show that like it's important to love oneself and your own abilities, instead of comparing yourself to another. Especially with siblings, it's so easy to do. My sister is so freaking artsy and talented, it drives me nuts. Like I can show her a font and she can legit do it like right there. And I'm like, yeah, I can write my name in English, like, you know, cursive or something. But like it's important that we find our own talents and our own strengths instead of always like looking at others and feeling insecure about ourselves. And I thought he did a really good job through the character development of Charlie, and then what else did I say? I mean, all of the different issues coming up. His spider taking him out, getting him drunk, from the embezzlement, prison, making the deal with Bird, like all these different little things that were like happening that like helped both characters develop, or even all of the characters develop in weird ways.
The thing is, like,
I just thought it was strong. Smart move.
Wasn't there a part in the book, or like, I don't know, a part where it would talk about how like Charlie wasn't a fan of Spider? Like, there's like a big section where he was just like, kind of just being like, this guy, like, Spider. Then my brother that I just met. That scared me.
Bugs, frogs, you know, losing my mind a little bit. You could tell that, like, there was I think that was
being jealous in
at
some
the
ways.
point that he goes and makes a deal with the gods, where he goes back to the beginning, and he makes a deal with the gods to destroy Spider, or get rid of Spider, because he was just so frustrated, jealous, you know, so many different things.
And from that, I think, stems from not loving yourself and not being confident. Because of the way he reacted towards him. It's like he doesn't love himself enough, so he's gonna put it on this Spider guy.
For sure, like, let's see if I can. That was the one thing that, like, I really liked. Again, like, you see that, Charlie goes from being super insecure and lacking any sort of confidence, like in the beginning, to then in the end, and through all of the points of the story, or like the conflicts and stuff, to the main conflicts, to then the ending resolution. Like he finally has gained some sense of like confidence and security within himself and his own abilities. That like, I don't know, it's a perfect like flow and example.
Yeah,
it's a good one. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
We both noticed that one.
Yeah, I really thought like the plot development and how the plot grew from just it was already a big enough thing for like his dad to die, but then like for him to die, and for for the funeral, which I don't know why I loved so much, but and it's my quote, so I'll save it because I think we have to do our quotes. Oh no, we don't have to share our quotes.
We submit the quotes, these are statements in the URL or video, so maybe
okay, but still.
Yeah.
So I really loved in the on page 30, it said that Fat Charlie walked toward her as he would have walked across a minefield, 9 years old again and in trouble. Like just that simple little line, like describes so much of who he was and who he is that he was this timid, shy, insecure boy, even though he was older or whatever, he just was very insecure with himself, and regardless of who it was, like he always just felt less than, or just So I loved how he grew, and I loved through so his dad dies to then meeting Spider to then Spider taking his place at work, stealing Rosie, all these things where it's like, holy crap, man. They did such a good job to keep this story moving.
Yeah.
Good book. I just didn't like the writing, which I think I'm entitled to.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
I read a lot, so I mean, if I don't like the way someone writes something, it can be hard to follow.
Yeah.
Interesting writer.
Yeah. I also thought, along with what you're saying, the fact that he, as you were talking about these things that he kind of goes through, it's almost like he's finding himself as he goes, because he doesn't end up with Rosie. He ends up with Daisy the cop, and things end up working out for both Spider and Charlie, and it's I almost feel like Charlie must have grown in certain ways through all that process,
Yeah. And I kind of think, too, even though it's funny to think about, I think Spider had some growth. Though maybe it wasn't as significant or, impactful as Charlie's growth, I think Spider still had growth to, from what he... And I just think about it, because Spider is Charlie's other half, the bad half.
Yeah.
It's funny that, they said, Rosie thought he was, new and improved and so much better or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny, of course, that she would go towards Spider because it's everything that Charlie's not.
Yeah.
Because they're complete opposites, or they're the good half and the bad half.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking, how ironic is it that he was with somebody that really would rather have this opposite. I want to know what Spider looks like. Tall, handsome, suave, or whatever.
No, suave. Honestly, I just imagine him as a spider. That's all I can imagine him as because of his name.
You know what's funny is I kept thinking about it, and they talk about the African trickster god. Have you seen Princess and the Frog?
Yes.
And the voodoo?
Yeah.
That's what I think of when I think of Spider.
Oh,
the guy?
The
tall,
voodoo guy.
Yeah. Tall, lengthy. Slim. Yeah, they said that he was slim.
Yeah.
So I'm maybe that's what he would look like. But I wonder what Charlie looks like.
The prince? Probably not.
No, because they didn't say he was kind of bland.
Yeah.
Poor Charlie.
That's a bummer.
How mean is it they called him Fat Charlie?
I know. Didn't his dad give him the name?
Yeah, his dad gave him the nickname, and it broke my heart because I'm Jeez, man, like, and he wasn't even fat. He was just fat for a couple of years.
Yeah, well, he's going through his kid phase, you know?
Yeah. And his mom had left. Ugh. So sad.
So again, also, that's how it relates to contemporary readers as well. Yeah. Mom leaving.
Real life stories.
Dad being not a nice guy.
Yeah.
Brothers have bad relationships.
Brothers have bad relationships.
At first. I think they ended up chilling out with each other at the end.
Yeah. Getting along.
Right? Isn't that what
Charlie and Daisy have a kid?
Yeah.
So wild. Charlie sings. I know. So happy for Charlie.
Yeah. He deserved it, I think, you know?
He did.
But also, he was kind of a jerk in the beginning, too. Just because, well, he wasn't a jerk, but he struggled
kind of a little,
to love.
Yeah. Kind of a little bit of a punk.
Yeah. But if there's sprinkles that trouble right here,
yeah,
not gonna be good.
This is yeah. So yeah, we answered all the questions. We have our thesis statements.
Mm-hmm.
So for my thesis, it's in the book Anansi Boys. The author Neil Gaiman showcases the importance in finding and loving oneself and one's own abilities instead of the constant comparing to others. Through the unique details of the story's several conflicts and the meaningful resolution, along with character development of the main character.
And then that was really good.
Well, it's the last part, a little bit of a struggle. I don't know why my wording was so bad, but it sucked. My quote number 1, because I'm going to read it anyways, is, Fat Charlie walked toward her as he would have walked across a minefield, 9 years old again and in trouble, page 30. My second quote was, Charlie's a singer these days. He's lost a lot of the softness. He's a lean man now with a trademark fedora hat, page 425. I use those to kind of help support my claim that, like, through the character development, we see the idea of, like, importance of loving oneself and our own abilities. So that was my goal, was to really highlight that message. And that's what I thought he was trying to do. What did you think?
So yeah, my thesis isn't really, I don't know. It says the author
Be
Neil
confident.
Gaiman, it's great.
Be confident.
Shows how despite differences in arguments, family will always be there for you. In this book, Anansi Boys, Gaiman uses Spider's actions toward his brother, Fat Charlie, and Fat Charlie's actions towards Spider to explain this. And I honestly couldn't find the quotes for these, but I'm working on it and I'm going to find those quotes. But one was about how Charlie is drunk and he's sleeping through the next day, and Spider covers for Charlie's absent in the office at the Graham Coates agency.
Yeah.
And he, like, disguises himself as Charlie. You know?
Yeah.
And so,
it's so funny when you, like, read the book, I guess I don't think about quotes that I want to use until I have to do this. And then I'm like, oh crap, what page is that on?
Yeah, and you have to go back.
You need to go through and try to, like, remember what page, or, like, find, like, the spot, and you're just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, because you can't really pick, like, the theme of the book or, like, whatever until you finish it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's hard to, like...
Just to guess?
Yeah.
Or, like, to try to look back and find pages?
Yeah. Out of how many pages? Like...
Yeah, no. That was I knew exactly what points I wanted to look at, but I was, like, scrolling through page and page and page. I was like, where is it?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely struggled, but I can find those. But yeah, I used that quote, you know, just because it's like, even though they were, like, the relationship was kind of struggling and they didn't necessarily love each other, he was like, oh, he stood in for Charlie, you know? And, like, to me that was, like, a sign that he cared about him, even though he didn't fully act like it.
No, I like that. And I like that your next story, what is the Tiger one?
Oh yeah, Tiger attempts a killing strike, and then Spider, you know, reinforces his little gremlins on him, the other little spiders, and at that point, Charlie rescues Spider and gives him back his tongue because it got chopped out because Tiger and the birds or whatever wanted him gone. They wanted to take their bloodline, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, that was a sign of Charlie showing his
love
care,
and care, yeah.
So that's kind of what I got of it.
That's funny, because that's not something I thought of when I read it, but it's a good point, is that, like, and it's because they go through so much adversity between each other and, like, hating each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, he sucks, oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, even, like, when Spider pulled Charlie out of prison to, like, figure out what he did, it was more for, like, his own gain, and then he was like, oh, I'm going to put you back in prison so you're safe. Like, is it because he's safe or because, like, you know what I mean? So even then, I feel like they went through so many random little things together through the story that, like, helped solidify the relationship at the end to, like, be like, compassionate and caring.
Yeah. There's one good thing that came out of this book that I liked, and it was that. And I think that's why I chose that one, was because, and I was kind of reading about, like, and then, like, why he was writing this book, because it was confusing to me. I was like, why would you write such a weird book?
Yeah.
With literally stuff that doesn't make sense. Like, a bird and a tiger, like, and just the characters, everything was weird. And, I don't know, the fact that you could pull out something from that story that actually seemed, like, decently meaningful was, like, interesting to me.
I know, it was, I don't know, I felt like it was so hard to read it, because I was like, what? Like, I don't know why, but I just struggled. Because I feel like it mixed legend with, like, modern day life, but there were still so many, like, conflicting things. Like, you had the beginning of the gods and stuff, and, like, what? Like, it was just, it was a lot. I love that you researched it to be like, why did he even write this book?
Yeah. I was just confused. I needed clarity.
See, other times we research books, like, after, because we're like, oh, this is interesting. I wonder when the next one. This one was like, what? That's how I feel bad. I feel like my answers and stuff aren't as strong because I just struggled to, like, really find this book interesting. I really hope the next one is good. Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of the Monkey King a little bit. I was like, yeah, no. Still struggling.
And the Monkey King wasn't so bad. And I think it maybe because it's such a short book and it was comic book that I could visually see, like, between the gods and, like, contempt, you know what I mean? It was easier because this one, like, not having any visuals and having to, like, come up with it in my mind, like, you know what I mean? I think of Spider being, like, the voodoo dude from, you know what I mean? Like, who would want to date that? You know what I mean? Like, what? Yeah, like, what kind of dark magic is she into, girl?
She likes the bad boys.
Yeah, what the heck? So it's just like, I don't know. I like the Monkey King book or the American Born Chinese, like, because it's
the way it's laid out.
Yeah, and it's visual, very visual.
Yeah, I guess that is more exciting when a book has more visual to it, because, like, I don't know. I mean, but it's still, like, I still struggle reading that one.
I think it makes it easier to understand.
Yeah.
Because the difference between those two is, like, I had pictures to really explain to me, like when that weird cousin, Chin Ki or whatever, came in and then, like, he gets his head knocked off and it's the Monkey King, like, it made it so much easier to, like, understand, like, what was going on compared to just reading it, like, knocks off his head and the Monkey King appears. Yeah. You'd be like, what?
What's happening?
Yeah, like, I'm so confused. But, so just things like that. Like, this book was good. It was hard to read because the writing style, but then, like, just not a lot of descriptive writing enough for me, I guess, to, like, paint the picture. Again, I'm just snobby when it comes to reading. But
Yeah, reading's not really my thing in general, so I struggle with every one of these assignments, but, like, it's good. Learning stuff.
I like reading, but I'm very selective, so. Yeah. I feel you. Well, I hope that this showed that we understood the book. I can't say I really liked it, but that's not even doesn't really matter if I liked it or not. I had to read it, so.